the law is the law and sin is sin, and I'm not saying this because of my ostentatiously fanatical religiosity, but because I'm trying to be honest to the text and so on. I'm not coming to say that the forbidden, I'm not coming to permit the forbidden, but we're doing the dialectic thing. We're talking about spiritual realities, mystical realities, and so on. I assume that I won't be happy if anyone thinks that I'm saying you're allowed to do this or you're allowed to do that. You know, we're up with the old-time religion. You're obviously not allowed to do anything, but I'm just you understand. So basically, we know that in the Chassidic form they speak a lot about Shmiras Habris, Midas Hayesod, that very basic avoida, very basic goal is for a man to control his thoughts and not to fall into lustful thoughts and so on, and to be shomer habris and not to waste his seed and so on. And we know that Yosef HaTzadik is associated with this midah of guarding oneself in this way, the story of Eishes Beitifar and so on. And it says, Yosef is Shmiras Habris, Yosef HaTzadik, Yosef HaTzadik, Yosef is Shmiras Habris. Yosef represents the principle of control of lust and so on to the nth degree. So Tzaddik speaks about the fact Kol Zara de Yosef im Shemei Habris. The union of Yosef is Shemei Habris. So Zara de Yosef, the descendants of Yosef, are Shemei Habris. They are keepers of the covenant. They don't fall into the sin. Yosef laid it down once and for all by withstanding temptation and not falling prey to the blandishments of Eishes Beitifar. He established in his descendants this midah of self-control in this area. The Kol Zara de Yosef im Shemei Habris, all the descendants of Yosef are Shemei Habris, Kenoita. Now he says, that's what it says, Yosef, Uretzikashkikasham. Among the descendants of Yosef, there's a lot of murder going on there. There's a murderous comedy. That in Gilad, which is in the territory of Ephraim, right? Ephraim and Asher, that it's from Yosef.
Gilad's in God.
Gilad is not in Yosef? You gotta find out.
Gilad
is
what? Says the pasuk
what? Gilad is Ephraim, I think.
Gilad?
Gilad.
He inherited half of his tribe inherited.
Okay, but it says Ritzika Shchika Sham. There's a lot of Ritzika in Gilad, in the Cheluk of Yosef. Gilad Shchiki Roitzkim, Beshem Shchiki Roitzkim. That among the Zarishil Yosef who are the Shemei Habris and the very self-control in this regard, there's more of a tendency, more of Yetzer Hara for anger and murderous activities and so on. He goes on to say that the Gemara of Metzia, we know the famous Gemara that speaks about Shufrei, the Reb Yoinoson, that it speaks about the beauty of Reb Yoinoson. And he says that in the Sforim it says, when it speaks about beauty, Shufrei, it really means, on a deeper level, mystically, it means Shmiras Habris. And when the Gemara speaks about Shufra, it means Shmiras Habris. So when it says Reb Yoinoson was such Shufra, he was so beautiful, Mishapiri Yerushalayim, that Reb Yoinoson was so beautiful, it doesn't mean just physical beauty. It means that he was beautiful in the way that he had this self-control and didn't fall into lust and so on. And then we see later on that Reb Yoinoson caused death, and he caused death to his friend Reish Lakish, and he says the two things go together, and so on. And so on. Okay, so that's what Tzaddik says. So basically, what I'm trying to get at is that unfortunately I can't find all the real juicy shtiklach, and if anyone could find them for me, I'd really appreciate it. Because I found another shtickle that I would very much like to find now, where Tzaddik says that like we said, there are two kinds of evil. There's evil from the side of Kas and Ritzicha, and there's evil from the right side, evil from the side of Chesed and Ahava. Now, one time I was by Rav Yoinoson Z many years ago, and I heard him carrying on about Yiddish Chatoyim and Goyish Chatoyim. So the Yiddish Chatoyim and the Goyish Chatoyim. As if to say there are Jewish sins and Gentile sins. But Jewish sins and Gentile sins, and some sins are not really Jewish sins, and he didn't know what he meant at the time. But I suspect that he meant some of these things that I saw by Reb Tzaddik. Because I know Reb Tzaddik has shtickles where he says that basically among Jews, when they sin, and the tendency that comes from the Jewish psyche and the Jewish soul is really only mitzad hayavin. It's really only from the right side. So to speak, sins of the flesh, that has a connection to the Israelite soul, essentially. The sin that's too much love. It's a sin, but it comes from love. But the sins of kas and retzicha, the sins of anger and murder, basically have no connection to the Israelite soul, and it just comes from some kind of influence from the outside. He has a shtickle like that, and basically, I'm sorry.
Influence from God.
Well, he says it's influence from the goyim. All these things are difficult to understand because it's like I said before. It's like I said before that. It's like I said before that basically if you didn't have it in you, it would be difficult to see how you could be influenced even from the outside. So the distinction between inside and outside is difficult because if you didn't have a tendency within yourself to that could be influenced that way, then how does it happen? How does the thing from the outside grab you? So Reb Tzaddik says also that basically there's no real way for a person to be masakin himself, to repair himself, and to get himself to grow spiritually in the way in which he must by appealing directly to the side of anger and murderousness. Even though Chazal say, I need to find these things. I'm sorry, I don't have them offhand. I'm going to find them, but I need to take it on trust. He does say that even though Chazal say that if you see if you see one of the young rabbis that he's burning, he's cooking, so to speak, he seems to give off a sense of chagiga. I appreciate it. He gives off a sense of being angry. Don't think he's really angry in a personal way. It's really the Torah that's burning within him. But Reb Tzaddik says that's not really how it starts. You shouldn't think that you can fix anger, repair anger by channeling the anger into Torah. You can't start a fixing with anger. You can only start a fixing with love and desire. It has to start because a person has love, desire, geschmack, and learning. Like the Zohar says that Yetzer Hara, that concerning the chshivas of the Yetzer Hara, Tov Ma'ir the Yetzer Hara, concerning the worthiness of the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, that it says Ilav hu chedvese de shmaitze miike. If there wouldn't be the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, would we enjoy learning? Will there be chedvese de shmaitze, the geschmack and learning? So it has to start like that. It has to start with chedvese de shmaitze. It has to start with love. It has to start with the Yetzer Hara of love, and then you go into learning. Then you can fix the anger because you come to Ritcha Deraisa. But it has to start with love, not with anger. It has to start with love, not with anger. The side of anger, the left side, is particularly difficult to repair and uplift and so on. Now I want to read something from a different sefer. Bara gufe yesh toivera. In evil itself, there is good and evil. The hainu taiva hu toiv shebara. Taiva, desire, is the good in evil. The kas hu ra shebara. And anger is the evil within evil. What sefer am I reading from? I'm reading from Evan Shleimer from the Brilliant. So,
what are you reading?
From the Vilna Gaon, So, okay. But he kind of messes it up a little after that. But the good and the evil, which is taiva, who garuah min hara. The good and the evil is worse than the evil and the evil. Because through the good in the Sitra Achra, a person gets seduced. A person gets seduced because he thinks that it's good. Because of the taiva which is in the Ra, which is really the good in the Ra, that seduces the person. So that makes it worse that way. As a matter of fact, this is very similar to a word that they say over from the Baal Shem Tov, also from the Svardische Kadmon Varit Al-Ghazi, that the Gemara says in Shabbos that Shoichet Chayiv Mishum Tzeveya, that if someone is shecht behema on Shabbos, he's chayiv because of Tzeveya, because when the blood comes out, it dyes the skin of the behema.